May's self-indulgent cabinet critics told to call off plotting into next election. Ministers have warned self-indulgent members of the cabinet not to use Theresa May's pledge to lead her party into the next election as an excuse to plot against her. The Prime Minister surprised many in her own party earlier this week when she said she was not a quitter and intended to remain in charge. Her comments were dismissed as not serious and an attempt not to be portrayed as a lame duck Prime Minister by a number of Tory MPs. But ministers are afraid that the remarks will be used as a pretext by cabinet members keen to advance their own leadership ambitions. One minister said, "Most people are not taking her comments seriously." She was in a difficult situation, where she was asked a direct question, what else was she going to say? He added, "We know we have got to support her for now and that she won't be in charge at the next election. However, this has reopened the whole issue again. The worry is that it will encourage some of those who don't want her to go on to plot." Self-indulgent cabinet ministers who did would face a backlash from the Tory grassroots at the Conservative Party conference at the start of October, he added. No 10 is keen to ensure the event is not seen as a series of auditions by leadership hopefuls, and a close watch is being kept on cabinet ministers over the next month. Aides to Mrs May are also emphasizing the possibility of a future cabinet reshuffle, in a bid to head off trouble. The Prime Minister will also attempt to draw a line under leadership speculation with a renewed push on her domestic agenda. While on a trip to Japan earlier this week, Mrs May was asked if she intended to fight the next general election as Tory leader. She replied, "Yes. There has been an awful lot of speculation about my future which has no basis in it whatsoever. I am in this for the long term." Scottish Tory leader Ruth Davidson backed Mrs May, saying, "Of course we want our Prime Minister to stay in post and she's got my full support," while senior backbencher Nigel Evans said her vow to continue was great news. But ex-party chairman Grant Shapps said it was too early for Mrs May to talk about going on and on like Margaret Thatcher. This week former Chancellor George Osborne, famously fired by Mrs May, compared her premiership to the living dead in a second-rate horror film. Ex-Education Secretary Nicky Morgan, who was also fired by Mrs May, said it was going to be difficult for Theresa May to lead us into the next general election. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson said that Mrs May had his undivided support. Tory backbencher Jacob Rees-Mogg, the focus of a social media campaign to make him leader, said, "It is right to back Mrs May and for her to continue." A Downing Street source said, "The Prime Minister was making clear that her premiership isn't just about delivering on Brexit but also seeing through the full social domestic reform agenda and tackling the injustices she spelled out last summer."